east. So trying to track this one out for you. We have the storm there heading up toward the Seabury area about 5:13. The Euterpe area about 5:39. The middle storm no longer severe warned. Well, this one still is. Hopkins, so it's the eastern one that we lost. Hopkins and Muhlenberg counties with tornado warnings on that, heading up toward the Poplar Grove area, and then the Calhoun area, Jewel City about 4:58 as that storm continues off. We've lost the tornado warning on this one that was around the Central City area. That one, if it rotates again, heading up toward the Point Pleasant area at about 5:06. Then out to parts of the Midwest where southwest Iowa and northwest parts of Missouri have tornado warnings. The storm's no longer severe in the Omaha area, but tornado warning on this one. Pretty much the second time today we've had severe storms through here. Taylor County, around the Conway area, there is some rotation showing up in here. Near Conway, mostly going through open areas, not seeing a tremendous amount of rotation. There's a little bit there south and east of Conway. Then there's been a tornado reported around the Cameron or northeast of Cameron here in this Davis County area of northwest Missouri. A whole line of thunderstorms from east of King City down to north of Excelsior Springs. This is north and east of Kansas City with a tornado warning here in Davies County. The track of this one up toward the Civil Bend area at around 5:21. So dangerous storms there. In the Omaha area, there still are thunderstorms around plenty. Maybe occasionally there could be some that will have hail up to maybe an inch in diameter like the Waterloo area, but not severe warned, nor are the storms farther southwest in Iowa. But quite a few severe thunderstorms south of that tornado warned storm in Missouri, all the way down to the Knoxville, Missouri area. So a lot of warm air that's still yet to be tapped with a surface low adding to the spin for these storms that have been giving tornado warnings in Iowa and Missouri. And then rich moisture all the way down to the south and east, and the upper low spinning its way across eastern Nebraska with a cold air over top of some of that warm, moist air, and storms that are blasted east across the Gulf Coast states and continue to be occasionally severe into places like Montgomery, Alabama, and just to the south of Montgomery, Alabama. Hail and isolated damaging winds there, and up into areas working their way toward the Nashville area, up toward Clarksville with some severe thunderstorm warnings, as well as a whole cluster of severe thunderstorm warnings from southwest of Evansville to the east of the Paducah area. So, Mike, it's a busy night out there with patches of severe thunderstorms here and there.
Dr. Forbes, thank you very much. Let's take you to the ground in Kentucky this evening. Check in with Chris Conley, our storm tracker there. He's in Island, Kentucky. Chris, a lot of warnings surrounding you. Describe the situation right now.
Well, right now we're headed westbound on Highway 136. Looks like the storm that came through Madisonville is kind of congealing in with the one just to the west of Slaughters. Our plan is to head west and get around the Penny Rowell Parkway and trying to intercept this one.
These things look like it could be a little messy, but looking at your shot here, Chris, looks like you have very few obstructions, pretty flat there in Kentucky, maybe a few trees. Is this a good area to pursue storms?
The road that I'm on right now is, but once we start getting on the Penny Rowell Parkway, you know, we're kind of limited as to our exits. West of that is pretty much treed in.
Are you able, is the road network pretty good? Will you think you might have to go on some dirt roads this evening?
No, I don't plan to do that because it's just kind of like Kansas yesterday. You get on the dirt roads and it's pretty sloppy.
How far away do you think from your target storm you are?
Right now, maybe as crow flies, about 10 miles.
All right, Chris, thank you very much. We're going to check back in with you. We're going to keep an eye on your camera very, very closely here this evening. Thank you so much. And you can see the tornado warnings here across much of Kentucky. Let's update you on the severe threat for the remainder of the night and for the day tomorrow. Here's Alex Wilson with that.
Yeah, an active day today. Could still see some storms tomorrow. Here's your Thursday threat. And keep in mind, we've got that warm, moist air now over the southeast as that storm system gets moving eastward. Stronger mid-level winds will help to fuel some severe weather. So we are going to be watching watching, at least for the danger, getting into the southeast and the mid-Atlantic, really from parts of West Virginia, Ohio, and southwest PA down towards the Gulf Coast. So New Orleans, you're in the threat zone, Montgomery, Atlanta, up into places like Charleston, West Virginia. Into Thursday night, then we're watching another severe threat back into the spots that we were watching yesterday. We've got that new upper disturbance approaching. Again, this is Thursday night. So once again, that moisture increases across portions of Texas. We've got that dry line in place, and these are the areas where we'll be watching for severe weather. So notice once again, Dallas going to be in play, Oklahoma City going to be in play. Let's look at the future radar as we start the day on Thursday. Things pretty quiet. It's going to be into the later hours of the day where we begin to see those thunderstorms fire into western Texas and parts of Oklahoma. Those storms continue to move through the area as we get into the overnight hours. But look at Friday, more storms rolling through parts of Kansas and Oklahoma. Also, we'll be watching portions of Arkansas and Texas. Tomorrow night, threat zone everywhere in red. Again, the big cities that we were watching yesterday, Oklahoma City, Dallas, over towards Abilene and Amarillo. Torcon values, they are as high as 3 right now. South central Texas, that would indicate a 30% chance of a tornado.
Now, new tornado watch has been issued here, including through Kentucky, up near Evansville, Indiana, back down toward Bowling Green as well. These are areas that we're going to follow for you this evening super closely. Again, a lot of areas where our storm trackers are on the ground this evening. There's a look at the tornado watch, newly issued until 11 o'clock this evening. So be aware that the threat for severe weather certainly is going to exist this evening. So the conditions are ripe and
Welcome back to Weather Underground. You are looking live at Slaughters, Kentucky. We have seen storms rolling through Kentucky, and we've got a severe thunderstorm or tornado watch in play there. We'll show you that in just a moment. That's also for parts of Indiana, but you can see storm clouds over Slaughters, Kentucky area, and we've got people out there on the roads watching these storms. Let's give you a look at where the storms are active right now. We'll start with the watches in play. We've got this tornado watch for parts of Iowa, a little bit of Kansas, but mostly into Missouri and then getting into western parts of Illinois. This goes until 9 o'clock Central Time, and you do see we've got the thunderstorms in the area. We are watching one tornado. This is an observed tornado over into the western part of Missouri. Again, this is just off to the south and east of Pattonsburg, Davies County here in the state of Missouri. We've got Coffee and Jameson, two of the towns in the path of this one, and Justin, our weather producer, is tracking this out in time. And Jameson, you're looking at this at 5:20, so right now you need to be in your safe spot. Coffee at 5:33, so you've got just over 10 minutes till it's in your area. Then Gilman City at 5:42, Blue Ridge just after that at 5:46 as this moves off towards the northeast. Then we head up into parts of Iowa. We've got a tornado warning here for Ringgold, Taylor, and Union counties. This goes until 6 o'clock Central Time, so we're watching this as it moves off towards the northeast as well. Now we take you over into parts of Kentucky, also Indiana. We showed you Kentucky off the top of the block just a minute ago. Wednesday, 11 o'clock Central Time. That's the expiration for this tornado warning. That includes parts of Indiana, but a lot of the state of Kentucky, and that's where we are seeing some tornado warned storms breaking out. You can see this one just off to the north of Central City. This is for Muhlenberg County. We've got South Carrollton in the path of this one. This goes until 5:30. Then we take you off to the north and west. McLean, Webster counties under a tornado warning until 5:45. If you're in the path of this storm, if you're in Seabury, lowest level, most interior room. If you're in a mobile home, get somewhere safe if you get the time.
We've got some real issues tonight in Kentucky for sure. Alex, thank you very much. I want to check in this evening with storm tracker Chris Conley. He is in Slaughters, Kentucky. This is about 30 miles south of Evansville, Indiana. Chris, update us on your situation. We're hearing you might be witnessing a possible funnel cloud.
That's correct. We had a brief touchdown just north of Slaughters. It wasn't probably on the ground no more than 10 seconds. Right now we have a developing tornado. It is on and off, had funnels with it, but it's spinning pretty good. Also, there's a new mesocyclone trying to form just off to the east.
All right, so the picture that we're looking at right now, tell us exactly what we're looking at here, the direction of the storm. Have you noticed any rotation in this?
Oh, it's rapidly rotating right now.
So is the movement of this towards you? It appears it might be left to right on the screen. Can you confirm what we're seeing?
Yeah, it's just left to right. Maybe moving 10 miles an hour. We've been sitting here for the past maybe 5-6 minutes, and it's just barely moving. We expected it to cross the parkway here, but it's almost stationary.
Chris, is this the shot that we're looking at? Is this where you saw the touchdown? And which part of this cloud that we're looking at did the tornado come from?
The tornado was probably, if you look at my screen, it was just to the left of where this developing tornado is right now.
So would that be just to, that we see kind of a tall tree that sticks up sort of in the middle of the screen? Was it left of that?
Yes, that's actually where the developing tornado is. You can almost see the RFD clear slot on the top of it. And just to the left of that tree is where the tornado is.
And RFD, rear flank downdraft, for those of you watching at home. What's the highway that you're on here, Chris? And do you think that storm is going to come over that highway?
Yes. I am northbound on the Pennyrile Parkway, or I-69. Yeah, it's going to cross the parkway from west to east.
I'm looking at the especially, you know, a couple of areas left on your screen here, even right on your screen. We have some low hanging areas here. Is this the area that you're watching? Could we be looking at the possibility of rotation in any of those low hanging areas?
Yes, it's rapidly rotating.
Which part of that storm is rotating? It's a little bit hard for us to pick out the details right now. Can you just walk us through it?
To the left of the tree was rapidly rotating. It's starting to deteriorate now. I think the new mesocyclone to the right side of the highway that's kind of out of your view right now is where we're going to have to move. Now that,
is that little filament that's hanging down there, Chris? Is that rotating, or would you call that a scud cloud?
Oh yes, no, it's rotating.
Is that when you saw the touchdown before? How long was that on the ground?
Maybe 10 seconds. It was very, very brief.
Chris, I want you to stay on the phone with us here. I want to bring in, though, our severe weather expert, Dr. Greg Forbes. Dr. Forbes, when you look at the screen here, and Chris is mentioning just left of the tree there, is that the area you'd be watching?
Yeah, you could, and I would have called that a tail cloud. You could see that little filament that angled its way up from lower right to upper left of what had originally been a bit of a wall cloud there, but it is pretty much dissipated at this point. But it certainly looked like it had some counterclockwise rotation ongoing in that part of the storm.
When you looked at this on radar, I know you've been watching it closely. Are you noticing much rotation on radar?
The area certainly has some rotation. It's not an optimal area, and I've been on air enough that I haven't really had time to really carefully examine it. I've been doing more tracking where they were heading than looking at the rotation there. So I don't have a good answer for that one. I can look a little bit more in that, but it's not an optimal radar coverage area.
Hey, Chris, I know you're on the move now. Tell us what your thoughts are here as you get on the road again.
Yeah, that tornado that was briefly on the ground, it's no longer there. We're going to go after this new mesocyclone that's trying to develop to the northeast, heading into West Davis County, Kentucky.
So as far as this storm's motion, do you think you'll be able to keep up with its forward speed here?
Oh, yes.
How fast are these storms moving? How fast are you able to travel?
Right now we can do 70, 75 miles an hour, but I'm actually from Davis County, so I know the back roads really well and a whole bunch of shortcuts.
How often do you see weather like this in that part of Kentucky, Chris? And I see you getting into maybe a little bit hillier terrain, maybe a few more trees. Can you still pursue these storms and still maintain line of sight?
You just gotta pick your spots. Like we got a really good view right now, and then it's back into the trees. Yeah, it's tough here. Myself and John Humphreys were out in Kansas yesterday, and Kansas almost seems like a vacation.
I can definitely understand that. So maybe you're well versed for chasing here in Kentucky, that's for sure. As you round the bend here, we see, is that possibly a rain shaft on the left? Looks like there's clearly gray area to the left, clearer area underneath the clouds to the right.
Yeah, Yeah, that's a rain shaft. We're going to go up here to the next exit. I believe it's Highway 56, and try and make our way into southwestern Davis County.
All right, Chris. Well, we appreciate you talking with us this evening. We're going to keep our eyes really trained on your camera this evening because we know you're right on top of some storms that could potentially produce some damage. We know we've had some damage of 3 tornadoes that hit across the plains, especially north of Dallas yesterday. Storms did some damage to some homes with 3.
Down Texas, you know, Friday Night Lights kind of towns, and everybody was coming out to help in that neighborhood. The bank said to the doctor, we'll store all your medical records in a secure room so we can keep those safe. Another doctor volunteered an exam room so he could get back into business with his patients tomorrow. I think everybody wants to get back to business and back to their life tomorrow.
Yeah, that is great stuff. The great thing about small town America is everyone pitches in. Ron Blum this evening in Grayson County, Texas. Ron, thank you very much. Let's update you on the severe weather that we're looking at this evening. And for a lot of you, it's going to be very, very active. There's a live look at Slaughter's, Kentucky. This is south of Evansville, Indiana. Heavy rain right now on the camera of our storm tracker, Chris Conley, this evening. He's familiar with this area. He's actually from this part of Kentucky, and he's watching the weather very closely for us. As he sees it, you will see it this evening. But we know a lot of you are at risk for tornadoes tonight, and the risk is going to extend back through Missouri all the way. Tornado warning here right along I-35 between Coffee and Gallatin here. This is Davis County here. Coffee and Jameson, those are the cities that could be impacted tonight. Please take shelter right away. Timing that out for you. A place like Coffee, 5:37, so about 5 minutes is all you have before that storm is right on top of you. In Gilman City, 5:46, and in Blue Ridge, heads up, that storm going to be on you on 5:50 this evening. Now headed up between Lenox and Tingley here in Iowa. Adams, Ringgold, and Union counties are under a tornado warning. So if you live in Clearfield or Kent, heads up. Our tornado warning until top of the hour, and that storm may come across Highway 34, which basically is this highway right here between Lenox and Creston. So lowest level of your home, do you have a basement? I hope you do. You can get there, get underground, protect your head. If you don't, lowest level of your home, an interior room like a bathroom or closet, and stay ducked down. We also have this tornado watch across southern Indiana and then portions of western Kentucky. This goes until 11 o'clock this evening. A lot of these storms have been tornado warned today, and big cluster of storms now right between Clarksville and Evansville tonight. We'll show you some of these warnings. We have thunderstorm warnings, flash flood warnings, and tornado warnings tonight. Here's the one tornado warning that our storm tracker Chris Conley was following for you this evening. Actually reported a brief tornado touchdown. Said it lasted maybe 10 seconds or so. McLean and Webster County under that warning right now. May have some embedded hail within that as well. Slaughters, looks like it's clear of you right now, but now closer toward the Seabury area, and you see some flashes of purple and white in there, indicating where we might have some larger pieces of hail. Storm generally moving off to the north-northeast here. We'll track it out for you and show you some of the cities that could be impacted. Does include Delaware, 5:37, so you've got about 3-4 minutes before it's on top of you. And excuse me for the pronunciation here, but Euterpe, 5:45 will be the location that comes towards you and the time. There's again a look at the bigger picture. Heavy rain embedded with all of this, so it means that flooding could be a possibility. A place like Madisonville heads up with a heavy rain. Rainfall rates could exceed 1 inch an hour here. And notice the big swirl in the atmosphere across the center of the country. That's where the low sits, right there with the counterclockwise flow that goes around that. That's really the juice for all of this, and then you'll get the boundaries that set up off of that, and where a lot of our storms are being triggered this evening, especially down here through Missouri and through portions of Iowa. So today, this is the risk area already happening for us. Omaha, then back across the south, we'll get some storms as well, including Nashville to Jackson, back down toward New Orleans. Would not rule out the possibility of tornadoes with some of these storms as well. Our tornado condition index for the remainder of the evening, 3 in Iowa, portions of Missouri, then southern Illinois. Much of Mississippi has a 3. Storms should begin to flare up here as well, and some of those could produce tornadoes. What that means is a 3 out of 10, your chances of a tornado within 50 miles of a location, 30% chance in this particular instance across Mississippi. So we know we've got some really active weather tonight for St. Louis, taking you through this hour by hour. Storms in the forecast here from about 8 o'clock to midnight tonight. Temperatures that should remain in the 60s after a warm, humid day in St. Louis, and then a drier day tomorrow. Later in the week, some storms could refire for us here along the Mississippi River. For Memphis, we may actually stay dry. Our forecast keeping us in the 70s with partly cloudy skies through the evening. Just slight chances of storms here in Memphis. More likely returning, though, later in the week. And for more on that and the risk for places like Memphis, here's Alex Wilson.
Yeah, we've got to talk about places like Memphis, but again, spots that saw the threat yesterday. Oklahoma City, Dallas, she'll be back in that threat zone as we head into the end part of this week. Let's talk about Thursday night and give you a look at the setup to start. We've got this new upper disturbance approaching. That's going to allow moisture to increase. Notice the dry air across western Texas, but that Gulf of Mexico moisture back into play for Texas and into Oklahoma. This is into Thursday night as that storm system develops. So what this will do is help to fuel some more thunderstorms, some of which could be strong or severe as we head into Thursday night and Friday. There's the Thursday night threat zone, so Oklahoma City to Abilene to Dallas, all areas to watch. Then we get into Friday, still watching Oklahoma City and Dallas, also parts of Louisiana and Arkansas. Notice by Friday night, many of the same locations still hold that threat for rain showers and storms. This is best severe threat in those areas, but anywhere you see green, that's where you could see thunderstorms or at least scattered rain showers and storms. So extending all the way over into parts of Kentucky and Tennessee, including Nashville. Tomorrow night, spotty damaging winds and hail possibility from Amarillo to Midland and points east. By Friday, potential impacts again.
The one in Iowa now is embedded in a big line of thunderstorms that goes all the way from Omaha to north central. It's heading toward the Kirksville area of Missouri. Right there you see in red the tornado warning. There have been several tornado reports with this, most recently just north of Creston. You can see that this is a line of storms with some little kinks in it. And one of those kinks there, right about there, just to the north of Creston, in Dare and Madison counties, has a tornado within that. So right now it's pretty close to the Spalding area, heading up toward the Zion, the Hebron area. There's a little circulation right in the line, right about in there. We can take a look at the Doppler velocity, and you can see that. See the little kink there that it comes in. So the relative easterlies versus the relative southerlies, giving that possible tornado just to the south and east of Orient in Iowa. Then we'll loop down here into Kentucky. The big picture, all sorts of thunderstorms with flash flood warnings from south of Evansville, Indiana to Madisonville, Kentucky, where we had tornado warnings. Now Hopkins and McLean counties, an embedded storm there in that line coming up toward through Hopkins and McLean County, around the Calhoun, the Hanson, the Livermore communities, as it will head across off toward the east-northeast. Then jumping back here to northwest Missouri, no tornado warnings any longer, but from Lamoni, Iowa, all the way down to Chillicothe, Missouri, and even farther to the south, we have severe thunderstorm warnings. Can never totally rule out an isolated tornado in that. Back up to the Omaha area, earlier we did have tornado showers, gradually diminishing thunderstorms across that area. The severe threat seems to have diminished. The surface low is up in that area with the heating of the afternoon. That's what really fired up the storms, and the counterclockwise winds around that low and a warm front in the area really added to the source of rotation. But now it's more in the warmer areas down farther to the south where we're getting some of the storms. There's that upper low that also added to the rotation up in Nebraska. Big line of thunderstorms, and mostly now with the southeast edge of that upper air forcing down all the way from the Gulf Coast states up into Kentucky. Most of these not severe thunderstorms around the Troy, Alabama area east of Montgomery. The tornado warning storm up into the Kentucky area. So here and there from Missouri and Iowa all the way down into parts of Kentucky, Tennessee, there is that isolated severe thunderstorm threat yet this evening. Mike?
All right, Dr. Forrest, appreciate it.
I want to take you to Owensboro, Kentucky right now. We've got storm chasers out there on the roads watching tornado warned storm, including this one in the Owensboro area. You know, tough to see much off in the distance. Some heavy rain with these storms. They've prompted flash flood warnings as well back into parts of western Kentucky. You know, tough to get out there and do much spotting because at times very difficult to see with the heavy rain. And notice the kind of buffering symbol coming up. That's because we're getting this video via cell connection. So at times it goes in and out in this part of the country. We're going to continue to monitor this look out of Owensboro. You can see the windshield wipers are on. Let's show you the storm now on the radar. There's a look at western Kentucky where a lot of the action is. We do have some severe storms rolling through north central Missouri and then getting down into south central Iowa. We'll show you those in just a moment. But here are those warned storms. Hopkins and McLean counties, you're under a tornado warning until 6:15. So we're watching the storm as it moves off towards the northeast. And Calhoun, Hanson in the path of this storm. Then we're watching Davies and McLean. Again, Owensboro County, you are in the path of this storm. There's Owensboro, so we're watching the storm still off to your southwest as you look in that direction. You got very dark skies, perhaps some hail out of this one as well, along with the very heavy rain. If you are in Masonville, you also want to seek shelter, lowest level, most interior room. If you're in the Owensboro area, you've got a few minutes to get to a safe spot. If you're in a mobile home, that's what you want to do. Mike?
Live pictures this evening out of Owensboro, Kentucky. This is our storm tracker, Chris Conley, following a storm here right now. That's a really well-developed shelf cloud that's rolling, likely moving right to left on the screen. Chris pans over here to the left, and you can see the atmosphere it's moving into. Little muddled here. It's not clear out ahead of it. So we've had some storms that have come through already, and now storms that are following it. Here's a look at the radar right now, and you can see tornado-warned storms that are moving in toward the Owensboro area. If you're in Davies or McLean counties right now, you're under a tornado warning until 6:30, about another 10 minutes or so. Owensboro is a city that is in the path of that tornado-warned storm. Let's take a look at the velocities here and see what we can notice. Maybe some broad circulation. I don't see any tight couplets necessarily on there. What you're looking for is red and green right next to each other. Maybe right there, south of Highway 54, tiny little area between 140 and 54. We've got some green and red right next to each other, right in the middle. There you go, right in the middle of that warning where you may have some rotation in that storm. So lowest level of your home, take shelter right now, cover your head. Take the dogs, take the kids, take everyone in there, and stay down until the all clear is given again. Tornado warning until 6:30 this evening. Well, Jim, welcome back, everyone, as we follow storms for you this evening in Owensboro, Kentucky. Look how poor the visibility is right now with that heavy rain that's coming down. Be careful on the roads tonight because you could encounter some wet locations out there, maybe some ponding. And hydroplaning could be a very big concern. We've been following a lot of these storms through Kentucky and a lot of flash flood warnings this evening. Let's bring you some rapid fire weather right now, though. Our top 3 weather